if you're looking on the waiver wires, you want to keep these players in mind because a lot of these players are either struggling very early on or they're really starting to display some red flags for your lineup and could sink you if you keep them in your rosters going forward during the season. So these are my three players that I've noted that you might want to drop or consider possibly getting somebody to trade for if you can package a deal around them. The first one is the aforementioned Yankee, Austin Wells, the catcher Austin Wells. He has struggled immensely this year. He's only hitting 152, 263 with a 455 slash line with only a double as his lone extra base hit. No home runs with 5 walks and 11 strikeouts. This was a player that was supposed to make the jump this year. He did look okay in the World Baseball Classic for the Dominican Republic, but he has struggled immensely with his return to the Yankees. And he's also starting to have some issues with his defensive play. Now, he was not really known for his defensive arm or his blocking or whatever, but if you're in a league where errors are counted against you, you lose a point or two with every single error that a player makes, especially a catcher, that might be something to take into consideration going forward. So you might want to drop Austin Wells or sell him, possibly if you can. And of course, the aforementioned Carter Jensen, that might be somebody you might want to pick up if he's still lying around. Maybe Valenzuela, the new Toronto Blue Jays catcher, if he's still lying around, you might want to pick him up as well and just drop Austin Wells or put him on the bench and just wait to see what he does. Something of that nature. Okay. The second player that I want to mention is Dustin May. Now, some people selected Dustin May because they wanted him to have a great comeback story this year after a very rocky last couple of years with injuries, poor performance. They were hoping that him signing with the Cardinals was hopefully going to be a new step for him, that was going to be a new leaf, and that he was going to return to what he was supposed to do. That has not been the case so far. He has a 9.45 ERA with 21 hits and only 11 strikeouts over 13 innings pitched. That's over the first 3 starts of his St. Louis tenure. There is a really good chance he gets cut soon. There's a really good chance that he either gets cut or relegated to the bullpen. He has not been able to hit his spots. He has not been able to be effective on the mound. He has been taken out extremely early in all 3 of his first starts. And it's just
that disappoints me. That really disappoints me. I mean, I was a big Dustin May fan when he was with the Dodgers, and he had the back end of. I always thought he was a workhorse. I mean, it's an inspiring story. He's come back from some pretty severe adversity, and I was really pulling for him. A lot of people were, right? Yep. And he's got great stuff. So I wish that he could figure it out. And I thought that he was maybe one great pitching coach away from locking it in, and it just doesn't seem to be happening.
Yeah, definitely. It's a major shame because this was a player that was quite revered when he came up a couple of years ago. They were hoping that he would be the next Dodger ace, that maybe he could be a great pitcher to Clayton Kershaw when his last couple of years were running out, so on and so forth. It just really is a shame for Dustin May. I would recommend dropping him and just letting somebody else pick him up. I don't think you're going to get any value from him in any trade. And the one that has disappointed me the most, and the one that I have been quite unhappy with, that is Chris Bassitt. I have him in a couple of my leagues as a depth piece. I have him in a couple of leagues as a starter as well. He has not been good either. Over his first 2 starts, he has had significant control issues with 6 walks over 6.1 innings pitched and 3 hit batters. And that's 1 batter hit every 2 innings, essentially, which is astronomically high. You don't really see pitchers hit batters that often. It will happen, of course, to the best pitchers in general. But hitting 3 batters in your first 2 starts is not a good start for any season. And it's unfortunate because a lot of fantasy players picked him up because it seemed like that he was the stalwart option, that he was going to be someone who gets you 150 innings easily, maybe 175 innings, maybe even 200 if he was healthy this year. He is a workhorse.
Absolutely.
He's always been a workhorse, especially with the Toronto Blue Jays. He would come out and give you a solid 5 innings, a solid 6 innings, maybe even a solid 7 innings once in a while. Maybe on a blue moon occasion, go into the eighth inning and maybe get an out or two. He is always known to be somebody you can depend on and doesn't really have an extraordinarily long injury history. But with these control issues, with this sudden inability to hit the strike zone, essentially, almost like a case of the yips, essentially, he has fallen off in fantasy value astronomically. He is at negative. He's double digits negative in any format, whether you're counting hit by pitches, whether you're counting walks, whether you're counting ERA, whether you're counting just a lack of quality starts in general. This is not a very good start for Chris Bassitt. So I would recommend either benching him or dropping him together.
Well, I would caution that this isn't totally out of character for Chris Bassitt. I mean, I've seen stretches where he's walked the bases loaded on like 12 pitches and then gotten himself out of the inning somehow miraculously.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So he is prone to bouts of wildness. And that seems to be the case to start the year this year. Now, he is an absolute competitor. He showed that in the World Series when he was relegated to bullpen duties and came into the game and was absolutely lights out on 3 separate occasions.
Yep.
So he is a great teammate, a great guy to have in the clubhouse. Talk about a leader. He is a leader and, he's respected. I don't think anyone's on his case about this control issue that he's showing so far. He'll figure it out. I would caution people on dropping him. I think it's too early and premature to be doing that with a proven veteran like Bassitt. The other two, you have a legitimate case for dropping them. But Bassitt, I don't know. I think that might not be the right move.
Well, just in case, if you don't want to drop Bassitt, you might want to put him on the bench and just see what he does maybe through April and May and see if he works it out. If he still doesn't improve or if he gets even worse, then you might have a case.
Yeah.
But those are my drops. What do you think, Doug? Do you have anybody else that you want to consider dropping in your leagues?
Let's see. You know what? I don't think of anybody. Well, just Ranger Suarez is the one that comes to mind immediately. Absolutely. Big disappointment there. No, you know what? My fantasy team, I think I chose fairly wisely. Who else was, there's the Seattle pitcher. Castillo has looked a little shaky as well.
Yeah.
And he's down in velocity to start this year. He's doesn't seem to be the ace that he has been in years past. I'm hoping that he figures that out because there's another guy who's an automatic 170 innings guy. He's been 170, 180 innings every year throughout his career, but he's the 5th starter on that Seattle rotation, and that is uncharacteristic of him. He's usually at the front end of that rotation.
Yeah.
So maybe, give him a little bit of time on the bench. I didn't mention in terms of guys to pick up. Patrick Corbin made an appearance for the Jays last night, and he looked good. He looked really good. Now, he was arguably the best pitcher or top 2 or 3 pitchers in baseball in 2018, 2019. I know that was a long time ago, but he's still just 36. It's not like he's 40 years old. And he was hitting, 94 on the gun and hitting his spots. So you could see a rejuvenated effort and a resurgence from Patrick Corbin at the end of the Blue Jays rotation, which is really hobbling with injuries to Trey Savage and Shane Bieber.
Yep.
And also they lost Cody Ponce.
Yes.
So they had to do something. And it looks like, hopefully, for the Jays fans, that Patrick Corbin might be the solution for that. So he's probably available on most boards, and it might be a good guy to pick up if you're going to be, removing any of these guys.
Definitely. And Patrick Corbin, like I said, he might be a pickup if you want to put Chris Bassitt on the bench or put him in stasher and just see if Patrick Corbin, can help you out in your fantasy teams going forward.